All right. So, whenever Jesus was being tempted and showed him the stones, the devil showed him the stones. And he said, if you're the Son of God, turn these into bread. And Jesus looked at him and said, man shall not live by bread alone, but on every word that proceeds from the mouth of the Father. And it's interesting because he is the word that proceeded from the mouth of the Father. He's the word of God. And we're supposed to live by him. And then later on, Jesus tells us, this is my body and it's real food, eat. And this is my blood, it's real drink. And people got offended by that. And then at the Passover meal, he takes and he breaks the bread and he says, here, take, eat, this is my body, which is broken for many. And he takes the cup and he holds it up and says, this is the blood of the covenant, which is shed for many. And then the next day, he's on a cross. And Peter calls it a tree. Like he's a fruit on a tree. That's interesting because fruit have fiber, body, and they also have juice, blood. And then if you roll back to the very beginning, in Genesis chapter 2, you find out that there's two trees in the garden, and there's one in the midst of the garden, that's the tree of life. And then there's another tree kind of offset, and that's the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And God tells Adam and Eve, you can eat from any tree, but do not eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. How is it that you live? You live by what you eat. If you don't eat, you die. It's that simple. You have to eat. But this one tree they're told not to eat. Do not live by this tree. Well, Jesus is the fruit on the tree of life. His body is real food, and his blood is real drink. And the cross is the tree upon which he hangs. And that's the tree of life. It's not very pretty. But come, eat, drink. So what would be the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and what is the fruit thereon? So let me ask you, where do you go to learn the difference between good and evil? Where do you go to learn that? You go to the law. You learn about good and evil in the law. And the law is the fruit on the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Because Paul tells you there is no life in the law. There is only condemnation. And those who live by it find condemnation. Because all fall short of the glory of God. Because the tree of knowledge of good and evil tells you that you have broken the law. And to break a part of the law is to break the whole of the law. So don't live according to the law, but live according to love. He is love, which is Jesus. You see, whenever they ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, they can no longer eat from the tree of life. But now we're given this invitation. Now that sin has been paid for, we've been given this invitation to eat from the tree of life. And that's, to me, just amazing. That the law is the fruit on the tree, and we're told not to eat it. Now we have to keep all the trees in the garden, and so we have to keep the law. And we have to observe it. But don't try and live by it, because it is the Lord who makes us righteous. In Leviticus chapter 20. The Lord makes us righteous, not the law. Anyway, I just thought that was amazing. The law is the fruit on the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And Jesus is the fruit on the tree of life. So go to him that you might have life, and life more abundantly. All right, I love you guys. And don't worry about what's happening in Iran. Pray about it. Pray that the Jews come to know Jesus, and pray for the peace of Jerusalem. But don't worry. It's not the end. All right. I love you guys. He says he loves you too.